Hi, this is Scott, the Tall Woodworker. Welcome to my shop. In this video, I'm going to turn a couple rings. So a while ago, I turned this ring that I have on my finger right now. I don't know if that'll focus in or see. Basically, this is a piece of red heart inlaid into a two-piece ring. I've always liked showing it off and everything, and I thought, well, it's time to make a few more. In fact, I'm going to be making one not only for myself, but also for my wife. So I have a couple of ring cores that I'm going to be using for this video. One is a more traditional, if I can get it out of here. One is a more traditional ring core, and this one will be the one used for my wife's ring. And then the second one will be used for my ring, and that's the more traditional male ring that will be similar to this one, where it'll have the metal on both sides. What I'm doing for these rings to make them a little special is I'm going to be using the same block of wood for each ring. Figure that kind of gives a little bit of symbolism there. And to go a little bit deeper on that, this is actually a block of koa wood that I'm going to be using. My wife and I took a trip to Hawaii for our honeymoon, and it's always been a special place for both of us. So I thought, what kind of a better way to do that than to make a couple rings with some wood from that region. So let's get on the lathe and get to turning. There's a lot of steps for ring turning. It's a lot more difficult and more precise than doing a bowl or a pen, just because you have an inner diameter and an outer diameter. But made a couple rings before, so let's get on the lathe and get to turning. I start by laying out where I want to make my cuts on the blank. Then, using a magnetic dovetail guide in the 90-degree position, I start my cut, and once I'm deep enough through, I can finish without the guide. When doing a ring, you can easily use a larger piece to start off with, then turn down to the final width. Since I'm using a handsaw to cut these pieces, I give myself some extra material just in case. I then glue one of the pieces to a sacrificial dowel using CA glue, and once I have the clamp on, I spray some activator around the outside before mounting the dowel on the lathe. The first thing I do is turn down the blank into a cylinder and make sure there are no corners. I will stop turning as soon as the corners are gone. When turning rings, you want to keep as much material as possible for the supporting of the cuts. Next, I want to square off the exposed face. On this ring, it's not as important since I can square it off during the final shaping, but I try to keep the same method no matter what ring I turn. Now, it's time to start boring the center hole. I start by using a Forstner bit that's smaller than the ring itself. This saves me time from having to hollow out all that material. Then, I carefully carve out more of the material until the ring core just fits in snugly. There are two things that need complete focus. One, you want to make sure you are making the hole inside square to the face. And two, you don't want to remove too much material or you'll end up with a gap between the ring and the blank. I made several test fittings until it was just perfect. Once the core fits snug, I can remove the blank from the dowel with a parting tool. It doesn't matter on this ring that it's still too wide. The final shaping will come later. With the blank off of the dowel, I can square off the end of the dowel for the next piece. I'm now gluing the second blank to the dowel to give it time to dry, then I move back to the first ring. Using clear 5-minute epoxy, I attach the blank to the core, then wipe off as much extra epoxy as I can. If the epoxy dries on the metal core, you should be able to get it off while it's on the lathe or using a polishing bit on a Dremel. I wanted to take a moment to ask you to please click the like button for this video. and subscribe to my channel as well. As of this video's debut, I have 19 subscribers. I'm trying to get my own custom YouTube address, and YouTube requires 100 subscribers to unlock this. The second ring is turned a bit differently than the first. I still start by knocking off the corners to get a cylinder. And now I'm using the Forstner bit to hollow out the inside. I should have squared off the end first. Luckily, that didn't make a big difference on this ring, but it's something to correct on future rings. That smoke you see, well, that's because my Forstner bits are a little dull, so there's extra heat created, but because I go back and open up the hole later, I don't worry too much about the burn marks. Here you see me squaring off the end, the thing I should have done earlier. And now it's time to carefully hollow out the inside to fit the core. Remember how I said that with the other ring it didn't matter how wide it was? Well, that's one of the differences with this particular ring. I need to use a set of calipers to measure 6 millimeters, which is the width of the inlay inside the ring. I transfer that marking onto the blank, and then I square off both sides to those marks. Once the width is just right, I can remove the blank and do a test fit. If there's still some extra material, you can use sandpaper on a flat board to remove any of the excess until it's just right. Then, it's back to the 5-minute epoxy. There are two types of 2-piece rings that I've worked with. Some are press fit and require a hammer to set, but this one is a threaded ring, so I just need to screw the 2 pieces together. While the epoxy dries on that second ring, let's go back to the first ring. I have the ring core mounted on a pen mandrel between the properly sized ring bushings. Unlike a pen bushing, ring bushings are not used to size the ring. They are tapered on one side and hold the ring perpendicular to the mandrel. I did have to wedge a piece of paper towel because there was a trick that I didn't know about. On these smaller rings, sometimes you need to flip one of the bushings, so only one of the tapered ends goes inside of the ring. When both tapered ends are inside, there's too much play and the ring won't turn properly on the mandrel. So you just saw me remove the bulk of the material on the ring. Now I carefully remove the extra material from the sides to match up with the ring core. I stop the lathe several times to make sure I'm not gouging into the metal core. As the remaining material gets thinner, there's a greater chance that I may discover a weak spot and the wood may fall apart from the ring core. I take a little extra time now to drizzle some thin CA glue on the wood to fill in and stabilize the remaining blank. I then spray on the activator to harden it up and I can continue the shaping. For comfort, I'm trying to put a curve on the ring so the center is slightly larger diameter than the edges. This is another area where I take my time. I then use 150 grit sandpaper to finish off the shape. And once I'm happy, I can sand to 600 grit before doing a CA finish coat. Once the CA is built up and dried, I can move on to the wet sanding to get a smooth and glossy finish. Back to the second ring, I've already turned down most of the wood material. I wanted to get some close-ups of this final process, so you'll see those shortly. On two-piece rings, the idea is to get the wood flush with the metal edges. Go ahead and take your time here. Get it down as close as you can, and then use 150 sandpaper to get it down to the final size. Once sanded to 600 grit, I can move on to that CA glue for the finish. The technique I'm using for the CA glue is a bit different here. I'm trying to get the glue on the wood and not on the metal, so I have a narrower neck adapter on my bottle of CA glue. This lets me apply it directly to the wood. Just be very careful as the glue could fling off the ring. Make sure you are wearing full face protection if you use this method. Then it's onto the micro mesh pads for wet sanding. And here are the finished rings. I'm really happy with the results of these, and my wife absolutely loves hers. If you like this video, please give it a like below. And if you haven't by now, please subscribe to my channel, and be sure to click on the bell icon to get notifications when I upload new videos. Just a little side note, I plan to upload a giveaway video towards the end of February 2021, so make sure those notifications are on. Until next time, thank you very much for watching.